so these two parts, manifesting, creating, achieving through this law of attraction process and letting go, total surrender. And for me, this was such a conflict within me. For the longest time, I had this huge inner conflict. I thought, okay, I'm a manifester. I'm a creator. I can create my reality. I can put my goals down and I can work towards my dreams and my visions for what my optimum timeline is in this experience. But at the same time, there's a conflicting part of mine that remembers that surrender takes me into peace and into flow and into grace and ease and abundance in a miraculous ways that I can't even start to explain how. And it was just really around letting go. And so these two parts, manifesting, creating, achieving through this law of attraction process and letting go, total surrender. And for me, this was such a conflict within me because I was brought up, before I became more conscious, I was brought up as a goal setter, a high achiever. And so I already kind of had that process underway as programming. And it caused a lot of anxiety and stress in my life. Do, produce, achieve, that constant striving with no satiation. I grew up with that experience. And then when I discovered in my 20s this law of attraction and the process behind it, and got very excited about it, and it felt right, it felt aligned, it made sense, it bridged that body, mind, spirit holistic approach to things rather than just sitting down and persevering ambitiously through goals. And so this law of attraction felt true, and I believe it still is, based on the principles of our universe, the principles of nature. But then there was this whole paradigm that I started to enter into my 30s and 40s, where it was more about letting go and surrender. And again, I felt complete alignment to this concept. It felt right. It felt true in my heart. And I wondered, how do these two parts work together? And I wrote poetry about it. I had many meditations and contemplations and questions that I put out there about how do I reconcile these two parts. And it became clearer and clearer to me. And now, without a doubt, I understand. So I want to share that with you. Firstly, we need to remember that a lot of the personal development industry kind of stops before they get very holistic or spiritual. It is about creating more of the material wealth and worldly attachments in their life than it is about reaching some sort of higher consciousness or awareness. So the self-development industry can be a trap for many. It's wonderful, but it can get people stuck. When in my younger years, my teens and 20s, I was extremely interested and attracted into the self-development industry. I thought it answered a call of mine to know how I operated, how the mind worked. And it was all mind-based. There wasn't much emphasis on the heart early in the self-development industry for me, in my experience. And I was quite involved in that. I was with a person who did sales for many different self-development key figures in the early 2000s and the 2000s. And I was able to be part of a lot of that. And I learned a lot of how that industry worked. And there were big parts of it that just didn't align, didn't feel true to me. And see, that was the thing in my life. I've always had this inner quest to find the truth. Maybe you relate to that. Maybe you don't. But for me, it didn't matter how much pain that truth would bring me. I had to know the truth. I couldn't continue something if I knew it wasn't true. And this to me is integrity. And I'm grateful that I had this kind of inbuilt system that kept me pushing in forward to find what was more aligned, and no matter how uncomfortable I got. And so I didn't settle in the self-development industry. I saw stuff that didn't feel aligned anymore, and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't put a finger on it. I couldn't articulate it. I had no idea. I just was aware that something didn't align, but I couldn't consciously see it yet. And then I started to learn about the heart. And of course, before I learned about the heart, I learned about The Secret and that whole fuss that went around the first kind of mainstream look at the law of attraction, that principle of the universe, the law of mirroring. But the focus again was on wealth development, on material accumulation, on security in the external world, on satiating our material desires and external successes. And again, that didn't feel fully aligned. I knew something was missing for me. And so I continued to be an explorer and curious, and that's something that's just in my nature, and I'll always do that. And it wasn't until my 30s that I discovered heart teachings and how there is a real difference between the head and the heart. You can operate your whole life from the head without really tapping into your heart or opening your heart. You can have a good solid wall built around that heart and seemingly be successful in the external world. And that's where I believe a lot of people who are stuck in self-development industry, they are closed-hearted, but very much mind-based. And one of the things I learned in one of the workshops I did several years back was this idea of polarity, and how the mind is based in polarity. When you manifest purely from the mind, you're going to attract the equal and opposite manifestation in the same amount of energy. However, and this is the part I want to bring home to the concept of this internal conflict between manifesting and surrender. When you manifest from the heart, you're not in polarity anymore, because the mind is based in this world, in this illusion. The mind and the body are based in this world and are only temporary while we are humans. The heart is the connection to source, to spirit. This is our universal connection to receive, like an antenna, wisdom, intuition, intelligence, and guidance to move one step forward in each moment. It enables us to receive inspiration. And I've said this many times. So the heart operates on a completely different system than the brain and the mind. So when you start to understand that there are two ways to manifest, there's manifesting in the head, the mind, which is very much out of coherence with the heart. If it's purely out of mind-based, you're not going to be receiving inspiration or spirit to manifest what is appropriate for you in your evolution and growth and transformation towards more wholeness and unity and peace. When you manifest from the mind, you will also get that equal and opposite reaction in your life in some way, if it's not truly from your heart. And that's dangerous. I believe that's quite dangerous. You can cause all sorts of chaos in your life and misalignment and bringing more karma when you aren't in attunement with your heart, the spirit. And so surrender is manifesting from your heart. And it's quite simple when you put it that way, because the heart doesn't operate on a timetable according to what the latest big ticket item is that you need to keep up with the Joneses, for example. The heart doesn't operate based on the external world within the simulation. The heart operates outside of time and space, enabling you to receive exactly what your soul needs in its evolution in any one moment. It's not based on keeping up with the Joneses. It's not based on being spoiled in and receiving all the, the external desires of that the world tells you are important. The heart is about moving towards true creatorship, whereas the mind is often about running away from fears. What the mind creates is often a reaction to its programming, its traumas, its bad experiences, its bad memories, its delusional value system. So when we truly manifest, we want to be in the heart space. How do you get into the heart? You move into gratitude. You thank Source for the continual evolution of your soul. Knowing that while we're in this world based in duality, it's not all about finding the perfect life. It's about growing and expanding through polarity in the external world. And so the heart can provide us with the perfect manifestations to continue our evolution. And yes, they can be beautiful. They might be a sacred relationship that you manifest from your heart. It might be a beautiful sanctuary that you can live at that provides quiet so you can focus on something you're giving to the world. It might be a new friendship that expands you and challenges you out of some old karma or trauma. So the heart is the place that you truly manifest from. And so surrendering is not getting stuck on a particular manifestation or dream that you have put all the details into. It is that is a reaction to fear. Like, I'm going to create a off-grid home that is totally self-sustainable so that I am no longer feeling insecure or fearful about the changes that could happen in the world. Or, the mind might create, I'm going to attract a partner who I can then feel safe around and that has my back when I feel threatened in the world. So these manifestations are all or dreams on mind-based. These are all based on out of reacting to fear. So truly heart-based manifesting is from creatorship. It's from moving forward towards joy, towards more wholeness, towards giving, love. And you'll recognize the difference in these two different intentions for your life. And so the surrender part that I keep mentioning is really knowing that when you spend time as an intentional process every day, living in your heart, opening your heart in love, appreciation, gratitude, joy, compassion for what you have already, for the lessons and learning that the timeline you're on, then you can move towards that pleasure of creatorship because you are staying in trust or surrender that Source has the best destiny for you. You don't have to try and control that destiny through writing a full 10-page spreadsheet with all your specific goals and then reading it every day. You can just allow yourself to be here now. And that's the other part of this. So the whole, how do I manifest and use the law of attraction, but also surrender? We must be careful because we're missing out on being present here now, if we get really stuck in that overthinking process, thinking that we have to control and manifest every single detail in our lives. So truly finding peace is being here now. And so you have to be surrendered to be here now. You have to let go of any fears about tomorrow in order to be here now, because this idea of the future or the past will pull you out of the moment like that. So surrender means letting go of the idea of tomorrow or yesterday and just being grateful for now, and having that knowing, feeling, sensing that you are in good hands, that source is living through you, that you are going to manifest out of the joy of presence and being here now. And for me, that personally doesn't mean I don't have dreams of the future and the direction I really see myself going. It just, and I do have dreams. I see myself moving into more of a wonderful alignment with my career and an alignment with my home and my sanctuary and the people in my life. And at the same time, I recognize that all these future dreams are always in my heart going to be for my expansion. That it's not the happily ever after Disney dream I'm picturing and wanting to manifest. It's what is the best timeline for the evolution of my soul? How can I be the best I can in this experience for myself and others? And so, yeah, forget the Disney tale. It's, okay to have dreams, but make sure they're from the heart. They're out of pure joy and play and creatorship. They're not out of the head, out of fear and running away from something that is within your the distorted, illusory world of this simulation. So I hope that all makes sense. You can absolutely work with manifesting and surrendering at the same time. It is about recognizing that we're here to create out of love, not out of fear. And when we're in the heart in love, we create beautiful things, and we can just be here now in each moment, one step at a time, receiving that inspiration for what we're going to create next. You don't have to know it all now, as is a very common message that I've been felt to share lately, is you don't have to know it all now, but know that you are okay when you surrender and stay in your heart. You will always be okay, always, for your highest evolution. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Have a beautiful day. See ya.